passion for Sussex life. BBC Sussex.
Right then, to another story that's making the headlines today. A motorbike enthusiast claims stricter regulations would be an attack on their freedom. The European Parliament wants to make biking safer and more environmentally friendly, and this is why they're doing it. Figures show that motorbikes, scooters and mopeds account for 16% of the deaths on the roads of Europe, but they only make up 2% of the total traffic. But the biking community are doing all they can to fight those plans. Earlier we spoke to Chris Cordell from the Brighton branch of the Motorcycle Action Group, and he told me one of the big concerns is that it'll be much harder and more expensive to modify or customise your bike.
All the usual changes asked by motorcyclists for their garages to do, or for them to do themselves, either for riding comfort, fuel efficiency, or to suit their own style or taste, will actually be illegal. Or, alternatively, we have to check and approve every time they make a modification. Now, the impact on that is going to be a massive increase in expense, really, for the motorcyclists. It creates extra burdens on garages, but also it has a drastic effect, really, on the custom market.
Well, let's talk now live to the Labour MEP for the South East, Peter Skinner. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Mark.
Do you have, or do you understand the concerns that the likes of Chris Cordell actually have?
Absolutely. I've been talking to biking enthusiasts for some time now. My post bag is inundated, as you'd imagine, with people who are quite passionate about bikes and have found themselves... Sorry, that was your earlier story. I'm afraid that the fact that people are passionate about bikes means that they really want to know what's going on, and I'm here to try to help.
Okay, I mean, first of all, where are we at with this particular... Is it a vote that's going to happen? When is this vote likely to happen?
That's right. There's been a discussion in the committee so far on much of the technical stuff and on what was just being discussed there on the modifications that can be allowed for bikes. I say, look, there's got to be some degree of ratio here, proportionality. If we want to make bikes safer, that's one thing. But if we're going to price bikes out of the market that people can't afford them, then that's silly too. So let's have a proper discussion about this, and bike users need to be involved in this. So today I'm holding a surgery with bikers in Crawley where we can discuss some of those issues openly and make sure that we go back and try and inform the vote that's going to happen, hopefully in time to make sure that we can make the changes.
Because that stat that I read out a few moments ago about the amount of deaths on the roads and who may be to blame for them, that does need to be addressed, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. But what it doesn't do, of course, it doesn't change the training that occurs in the whole of the rest of Europe. It doesn't take account of the personal responsibility of many bikers, and it doesn't take account of the third party, the other road users, cars, for example, that are actually unaware about what bikers actually do to get onto the road and what they do. So some of these issues just haven't been taken into account, and that's what I'm afraid of with the vote that's going to happen in the European Parliament. They're just going to think that technical changes can account for the reduction in road deaths.
Well, give us a sense then, if you're a lone voice or not when it comes to being against these ideas.
No, I'm not. I mean, many of the countries, for example, that are involved in much of this, like Italy, France and Spain and elsewhere, where mopeds and scooters are used widely, have been behind the curve on this, and now they've woken up to it. So we feel that we've got some influence still to bring to bear on these ideas. It's not just about technocrats making decisions, it's about politicians being in touch with people and making that real, converting that into the changes that are necessary.
And not part of this legislation, finally, Peter, but we understand that in France and Ireland they're considering, for example, making motorcyclists actually wear fluorescent jackets. Have you heard about this?
Well, I've heard of that, but that's got nothing perhaps to do with the European legislation. The visibility issue is something which is something that other countries are just thinking of separately. But what I would say is that nothing would be compulsorily mandatory from a European perspective on that level of visibility.
All right, Peter Skinner, thank you for your time this morning. Peter Skinner is the Labour MEP for the South East.